all know. I'm saying, I started this demonic shit. I started this evil shit.
It never ceases to amaze me how long the name 3 6 Mafia just went over my head. Say what you want about drill music from any city, any country, hands down, 3 6 Mafia has to be the most evil group to ever come into hip hop. I may be misquoting, but I believe it was Lord Infamous that said in an interview that his goal was to get black people comfortable with the devil. Now, why would something like this be emphasized? You can blame it on the hardship the slaves in North and South America went through, but for whatever reason, before our culture was corrupted by gangs and crime, religion was the main thing passed down from the descendants of those who were brought across the Atlantic on those ships. I don't want to fully get into the history, but this is something that most families from all backgrounds used to pass down back in the day, much more than today. How many from the older generation came up on music from this one grimy group out of Memphis? Yeah, the rock stars have been doing this type of thing since the 70s. That's why a lot of parents were so against their kids listening to bands like Aerosmith and Black Sabbath back then. But as rock and roll moved over to make way for hip hop, there's no denying that these 6 artists out of Memphis succeeded in doing whatever it was they set out to do. And it's also kind of eerie that out of the 6, only 3 are still alive today. That just gives me chills thinking about it. Today, they stand as one of the most influential rap groups of all time, even creating some of the soundtrack for an Oscar award-winning film, although nobody cares about the Oscars anymore. Anyway, today, looking at Memphis, Tennessee, no matter which list you look at, it always ranks somewhere within the top 5 most dangerous cities in the United States. Coming from Chicago, which is not as dangerous as it may seem since there are plenty of wealthy neighborhoods in the city that you can go to and never hear a gunshot, I know that Memphis is not the same. As a recently deceased artist, Say So P said in an interview, Memphis isn't the same as a city like LA where you can just escape and end up in a nice neighborhood. Most of the city is just more of the same in one way or another. And would this type of hopeless atmosphere influence a group of young people to create horror-themed rap music? Probably so. You have to admit that listening to Memphis music is a one-of-a-kind experience. There's just nothing else that quite captures the dark atmosphere it creates. Lord Infamous had to be one of the most terrifying artists to ever release music. A guy rapping about shooting and gangbanging isn't all that scary. It's watered down even. But having blatant Satanism and other things I'm not even sure I can mention on YouTube be part of your brand of music is something we've never seen in hip hop before. And really ever since in a group as mainstream. We might see little hints like when A$AP Rocky first came out and had some of this ritualistic stuff in his music videos, and most drill rappers today calling themselves demons, but the real deal came out of Memphis. This seriously has to be one of the least fun videos I've ever made, since just talking about this stuff made my hands feel heavy when I was writing it down. In terms of violence, 2023 was the worst year Memphis has had in over a decade. Surprisingly, the murder rate actually went down in 2024, which I guess that's something. And I got trolled for always mentioning Nation, but in Memphis, there are a lot of peoples, or the People's Nation, and the Folks Nation. The Bloods are around, but the Gangsta Disciples, the Crips, and the Vice Lords have a much bigger presence in Memphis. But like most cities in America, this is mostly divided up within subsets. The Memphis gang unit says there are only 48 of them, but they had their budget cut years ago, so I wouldn't trust these numbers. A couple I know are AOB, which I actually found through this guy named Poppy and his immaculate money spread. I don't even understand how you get bills to do that. 400, 700, Bread Gang, and many, many more. The main reason I believe there's more than 48 sets in Memphis is because there are too many at war. And with war comes breaking off into new sets whenever the younger guys can't trust or are just not that close to the older guys. And also being the most dangerous city in the US, there could be at least 100 altogether. Going back in time though, something I saw that happened in 2013 that I just had to keep reading to make sure I wasn't hallucinating is that the Grape Street Crips had a partnership with the Imperial Wizard of the KKK when they teamed up to stop a Klan rally in Memphis. Which I'm speechless, honestly. So the rally in question was supposed to be a protest against the city of Memphis because they plan to rename 3 parks in the city that were named after Confederate generals or something, which, look, everything else aside, it's the winners of war that usually get honored. I mean, just look at any other war in history. I get it. Still a pretty crazy sentence to read, though. Anyway, every generation is kind of shaped by the generation before, right? Does the older generation in Memphis even know what they was listening to? Was Baby Pooh Shiesty listening to this super overly satanic music when he was riding around with his big cousins back in the day? Did they know? And let's just get this out of the way. Open carry states. I always thought it was crazy to just be able to go in the store and buy and carry any gun at 18 years old. I'm all for self-defense and protecting your castle, but at 18, most people are still in their parents' house or a dorm room. This does not make anywhere safer, because in small towns with no gun crime, people just walk around strapped despite the fact they'll never likely run into a situation where they have to use it, and in cities, the crime is still rampant. Even Chicago, per capita, is much safer than Memphis, and it's technically illegal to have a gun there. All open carry does for me is make my Walmart trips more PTSD inducing when I see some old man with a revolver hanging off his hip. I went to college in the open carry state, and boy, this made me more nervous than I ever was in Chicago, Illinois. You know most gang members are just teenagers, right? So before they even run into any real beef, they're just gonna buy a gun because they can. Memphis is also the poorest large metro area in America. And in a state with no minimum wage like Tennessee that just has to follow the federal minimum of $7.25 an hour, it created a very grimy and hungry atmosphere. Everybody starts out broke. You see your mom and dad working 12 hours a day just to come back home and barely make ends meet. That's when the guys in the street doing the money spread can start to look very appealing. And this was kind of scary about Memphis. They're kind of stuck in the past, it seems, because even in Chicago, a lot of gang members didn't even grow up poor. A lot of them never even missed a meal. Honestly, what I've seen is guys jumping headfirst in the streets just to play defense against the one or two psychopaths that each hood has. But when you get a city like Memphis that's much smaller, this one psychopath on the block can easily be 4 or 5. Then what you gonna do? You can come out the house each day and pray you don't become a victim. Staying out the way usually helps. But we know a lot of young men are hard-headed. And again, most gang members are teenagers. So you can just count stupid in there too. And they don't want to be pushed around. Even a rich man knows that power and respect can come with a gun. But obviously not where everybody else has one. Then we all just crabs in a barrel. Instead of helping each other make it out, we just hold each other back. But speaking of that, let's get to the guys in Memphis with money. For example, Big Jook, a guy out of Memphis, you know, Yo Gotti's brother, a millionaire who used his money to keep playing the streets. And this is one example of how organization can be worse than renegade activity. Here you have a guy that can promise you some real money. If you're a young guy in the streets, he can be your way out of Memphis. But what does he want in exchange for this? A life, allegedly. So you end up taking it for him. It was kind of sloppy, but you got the job done. He promised you around $20,000 to $40,000. So now where's the money? You give the boss man a call, and he answers and says, "Oh, I got some things going on right now. I'll send you 800. It's a cold world out here. And 800 ain't gonna last you a life sentence." In the wise words of OG Percy, I saw a man walk past a dead body, then minutes later, he became a dead body. Jook died leaving his uncle's funeral. Even if he was a man of his word, you still wouldn't have got that payment. The streets is cold, especially when the men at the top of your environment, the ones that can pull you out, don't want to do nothing but send you off. But of course, you can just not be so easily manipulated. A former member of the 3-6 told Vlad in the interview that his personal deal with the devil wasn't to give away his soul. It was just to make others believe in the devil over God. You see, belief is a powerful tool, especially when somebody is willing to use it against you. I have never seen such a mix of this type of thing and street culture as I have in Memphis. Maybe in Haiti and some parts of Florida, where you got some gang members that practice voodoo. Two worlds that should never collide. Gang and the spiritual.